Thunder, Perfect Mind. It's a very interesting book that is located in the Nag Hammadi library, one of many. It's a fun one that people like to play with. And you know what? I'm going to tell you that there's a way to interpret it where, quite honestly, what is revealed in there is a common teaching that is about self-enlightenment, how to turn in and heal oneself. And in this video, I intend to interpret the verse and demonstrate by cross-referencing this material with other material from antiquity, just putting some verses side by side and showing some matching up of what's going on, and then interpreting that as I go. This is something that can be a little scary for some people. When I finish with this, with the interpretation, it is all mentally interactive steps for self-healing. The supernatural goes away. So if you need the supernatural to be there, I'm going to recommend you maybe not watch the video. I'm really looking for something that is tangible in here that I find throughout antiquity. And I find it here, and that's what this video is going to be about, demonstrating that right there. My name is Dan Paulson. Welcome to the video. Now, as we get into it, if you haven't heard it before, as we read Thunder, it's going to sound a little bit odd. What it's going to sound like, actually, there's people that say it's got similarities to John in the way the verse structure is or something like that. I see all of that there. That's not really what I'm looking at. What I see here is something that's more like the Song of Solomon. What it is a style. This is going to be something, as we get into it, you're going to find out this is an internal dialogue. All of the parts in here, all of the things going on are an internal dialogue. It plays out in the theater of the mind. We've got to get there. It'll take a little work, but all of them work that exact same way. All right, again, what I'm going to be doing is I'm not going to go through the entire book and interpret it. I'm just going to grab some high points out of there and show that these are parallel there. It really needs to be interpreted. It takes a long time to do the interpretation, and a person has to do it in their own mind. So I'm just going to show some things here that show how it does align. Now, as far as the material that I'm going to be utilizing here, this is it. From the Nag Hammadi itself, I'm going to be using the Gospel of Thomas and Thunder, Perfect Mind. I'm also going to be using the Babylonian creation myth, the Enuma Elish. From Taoism, the core teaching, the Tao Te Ching. I'm going to make some references between that and this and show how it's the same teaching, but it's going to sound so different. And we're going to use the same interpretation technique. We'll see it's the same thing. And then from Abrahamic descended sources here, I've got Genesis, Enoch, just the first book of Enoch, Song of Solomon, and Revelation. The comparisons that I'm talking about are going to be like this. This is the time I'm going to use the Gospel of Thomas. Everybody, Gnostics, know the Gospel of Thomas. People that go down rabbit holes and explore know the Gospel of Thomas. So what do we have right here? Verse 102, Jesus said, "Woe to the Pharisees, for they are like a dog sleeping in the manger of oxen. For neither does he eat, nor does he let the oxen eat." Now, from 500 years previous, Aesop's fables. The dog in the manger. A dog was lying in a manger on the hay which had been put there for the cattle, and when they came and tried to eat, he growled and snapped at them and would not let them get at their food. "Oh, what a selfish beast," said one of them to his companions. "He himself can't eat, yet he won't let those eat who can." Okay, you see those are the same verse, the same parallel, that the verse here, the woe to the Pharisee, for they are like a dog sleeping in the manger of an oxen, for neither does he eat nor does he let the oxen eat, is a derivation of an Aesop's fable. Is that okay? Yes, it's okay, because there's something very specific in there that it is teaching. In both cases, we want that lesson. They're both viable. There's one teaching that is in common. There's going to be a lot of shared components, a lot, and that's what we're going to run into here. So again, if you're not wanting to see that, I wouldn't watch the video. All right, I'm going to read this, and we'll just keep working on the interpretation process, the sequences, everything as we move along. Right now, let's just read what we have. Thunder, Perfect Mind. "I was sent out from the power and have come to you who study me. I am found by you who seek me. Look at me, you who study me, and you who hear me. You waiting for me, take me into yourselves. Don't banish me from your vision. Don't let hatred enter your voice against me, or let anger enter your hearing. In no place and no time be unknowing of me. Be alert. Don't be ignorant of me. I am the first and the last. I am the honored and the scorned. I am the whore and the holy. Okay, who is that right there? We need to interact with that mentally. We need to interact with that. Some places it sounds like God. Here it's like, well, I don't know, whore and holy. There's some other things going on here that doesn't sound quite right. So what we're going to have to do is make some comparisons first. There is something very specific right here that emerges in all of the material. Okay, let's go see where it first appeared. I'm going to go to the Babylonian creation myth, the Enuma Elish. Let's talk about something that happens right there. All right, and I should mention, people that know my work know that you have to, I've kind of bounce all over the place. So I don't have time to describe every religion and everything going on. So there's kind of this expectation that you have to study on your own or have some awareness already. The Tablet 1, the creation myth, the Enuma Elish from the Babylonians. This is older than Genesis. At a time when even the glories above had yet to be named, and unuttered was the word for the world which lay beneath. It was then that the first being, Apsu, who was their source, and the progenitor Tiamat, the mother who gave birth to all, intermingled their waters, producing neither field nor marsh. Okay, then the gods were given birth, so what happens? Apsu is the first being. God, that's the God here, isn't it? Apsu is the creator. We get down here a little ways further, and we're going to find something's gone wrong. And I'm going to read this part here. And abounding sleep came over Apsu. He became pacified. He caused him to enter a deep sleep, steeped in tranquility. This is somebody else that's putting a spell on Apsu. He caused him to enter a deep sleep, steeped in tranquility, while the officer Mumu, his advisor, was left in a trance. Then Ea removed his belt and took his crown from his head, and took his mantle of brilliance and dressed himself in it. Then he forced Apsu down under his feet and crushed him, and bound Mumu, laying him down under him crosswise. Then he established his own residence on top of the Apsu. Okay, so Apsu was the creator up here. Apsu has now just been taken over. You're no longer in charge. If I jump way ahead, though, into Tablet 3, what we're going to find is that Marduk, the called hero, has come and taken back things over, and he's made Apsu, Nudimmud's dwelling, entirely smooth, and the Lord then measured out the Apsu's total dimensions. The story's a little bit different. It's not going to sound like Abrahamic material. Actually, once we finish interpreting it, it'll sound exactly like Abrahamic material. Okay. That farther down the road. Okay, so what we had here then is the creator started everything, somehow gets dismissed. You lose control. You lose complete power by something else that takes over. And then later on, this emerges back. What I'm going to suggest here is that this creation myth is an internal path, and that these are component parts that reflect the way a human life cycle works. What Apsu was represents where we come from. There's a higher awareness that we all have. This is something we have to talk about a little bit, but it's incredibly important. It's a part of the material. We don't live through our higher awareness, but we're supposed to. We live through our memories and our personal experiences. So what's happening here in this story is that this is the birth of us. This is before anything came about for us. This is the story of the creation of me, my life, my world, me coming online. And Apsu represents this beginning place that we all come from. We are all Apsu in the beginning. This is the higher awareness. This is a part of us that when we have life experiences that hurt and become painful, that when we can step outside of ourselves and look at ourselves from a perspective where we are detached from the emotions, that's from the higher awareness. When we're sleeping at night and then you wake up tossing, turning, something is messing up your head. But every once in a while, in this mental dialogue, you hear something stepping in saying, hey, sleep, relax, something, and it feels detached. That's it. We don't know that that's what it is. It's there all the time. When we're born, we have it. I'm just a little kid. We're all little kids. We have a lot to learn. We have to go gain life experiences and develop memories until we know how to live as beings. And hopefully along the way, what we learn is that we are now physical beings living through those memories, but that higher awareness that we came from is there, and we now need to extract ourselves from living from our memories and live from the higher awareness. That represents right there the idea that we came from there, then it disappears as we have life experiences. Something else takes over. Later, it reemerges, but only through a healing process. That's what the higher awareness is. Now, when we started off in thunder, perfect mind, it didn't do all that, did it? It just says, here I am. What it's leaving out is creation. It doesn't have creation in there. So it doesn't have I started and then I disappeared and now I come back. It's actually starting out as I am now coming back. What are you going to do? Let's go look somewhere else and see if we see similarities now that I've said that. Okay, I'm going to jump next to the book of Genesis, and we're familiar with most of it, so I'm going to just kind of jump through here. We go through creation. There's a 7-day creation, and then there's also one that's a 5 rivers, and Adam and Eve were created. There's a first sin and punishment through chapter 3. Cain murders Abel in chapter 4. God is around this entire time until right here, verse number 16 in chapter 4, when Cain murders Abel. Verse 16, this is where God disappears. Then Cain went away from the presence of the Lord and settled in the land of Nod, east of Eden. So God said, whoever kills Cain will put a 7-fold, protected him, and then disappeared. Civilization begins, time goes by, Adam's got descendants, all the way down until we get into the wickedness of humankind in chapter 6. All the way down to verse 7, where it says, so the Lord said, I will blot out from the earth the human beings I have created. Actually, early on in this chapter, he said, then the Lord said, my spirit shall not abide in mortals forever. He's looking and seeing the wickedness, and he destroys them. So what we have is what? We had in the first story, get this shut off here. So in the first story, we had God creates, Apsu, gets trampled on, then reappears after the destruction. What we have right here is God creates, then disappears. Life goes on, and God reappears later. You just need to carry the idea that whatever this original source was is now gone through while we're having life experiences, and when we're ready to return to an inner path and look for the pathway through this material, that we need to connect with that higher awareness. That's what this is right here. Time for destruction. Time to wipe it out. See when it reappears? Let's go look in Genesis again. Abram and Sarai. Okay, the human life template begins to recycle at chapter 12 in Genesis, the call of Abram. Chapter 12 is an important one. The Lord said to Abram, go from your country and your kindred, your father's house, to the land I will show you. I will make you a great nation. I will bless you, make your name great, so that you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you I will curse, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. That's it. So Abram went as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Right there, the Lord just disappeared, and Abram took off. They go on. There's a famine there. Abram and Sarai. Abram and Sarai represents me, the conscious and the subconscious. There was nothing to eat. This is like Eve leaving Eden behind, going on to first sin. This is going to be replicating that same sort of a thing, that the inner self, the female, is going to become corrupted. We get down here and what happens? Abram gives up his wife to Pharaoh because he's afraid, and Pharaoh marries her. And Abram gets sheep, oxen, male donkeys, male, female slaves, female donkeys, and camels. He gets a lot of stuff, doesn't he, for letting Pharaoh marry his wife out of fear. This is not a true story. This represents our inner self being taken over. Pharaoh represents the same thing as the serpent did. First sin. It's corruption of inner self in life. Going from a pure place where there was a famine into a place where now you have all kinds of bad stuff and you're corrupt inside. But what happens? The Lord afflicted Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai. So the Lord didn't even come back and talk to anybody yet. Just from off in the distance decide to teach Pharaoh a lesson by sending plagues to his house. How long do plagues take? You have to unwrap these stories. This means that bad things are cyclically happening now because of the issues that you've had, and now you have to leave the past behind and move on. This moves on. Abram, Lot separate. It's going to go on, and frankly, what happens is when Abram, let's see, God's covenant with Abram. There we go. After these things, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision. Do not be afraid, Abram, I am your shield, and your reward shall be very great. Okay, so what we're seeing here, honestly, is a much bigger story. They're going to continue to get larger and larger. But step back and look at it. God's there in the beginning, puts people here. It starts out pure. It goes bad. God's gone that entire time. Finally, there's some cyclical issues going on. God returns. Yeah. Bingo. That's a life right there. You're born, you're pure, you don't have any issues. Then we live through our lives, we have life experiences, we lose that connection to the higher awareness. Then what happens when we decide, I want to change my life? How do I do it? You have to find the higher awareness to start. This is the lesson right here, right in the beginning. Now, when we get down into, again, as we get down into thunder, perfect mind, it does not have the beginning and the disappearance. Those have already been done. Creation, it's not going to continue to have creation over and over again. So what it's going to do is pick up when it's time to heal. So what it's doing is picking up at that third step. You are here, then you are gone, now you return. This is at the now you return. This one from the book of Revelation. I don't want to glaze over it, but I almost have to. This is from chapter 2, verse 18. This is the return of getting ready to go on the process here, on the inner healing path. I am he that liveth and was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore. So we are running into the return of this right here. And of course, that sounds like the story of Jesus. I was alive, was put to death, returned, and I'm alive forevermore. Amen. And have the keys of hell and death. So that hooks right into the Jesus story. But if you take it out of the analogs, it still works on the template and matches everything else. I was here and then gone, and now I'm back. This is a story of us. Okay, I mentioned in the beginning of the video that I was going to do Enoch. I'm going to omit that one for now. It muddies it up. You can see what's going on here. We see the repetition. You don't need to see it again and again and again. I think that I have a tendency to muddy up the waters by throwing too many of the same component parts in when they sound different. It takes a while to kind of hook into what's happening, so throwing a lot out there is not really helpful. I think it would be helpful, however, to step back and just talk about this in a modern scale. Okay, these stories are deep. There's something big going on. They're very old. They lived through them as part of their media and other things. They had these memorized, and they went through them and through them and through them as if it was their iPhones. Okay, we're not doing that. That was their technology. These stories are bigger. Once you see it, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I see what's going on. Okay. But not everybody's going to get there. Not everybody's going to see it. Okay, this is basically it. We emerge from that higher awareness. We are an unconscious entity at first. We are living just pure beings. We begin to have life experiences enough that we begin to understand life. We become self-aware, but we're happy, presumably, the way that life should work. We're happy little kids that haven't judged life. Everything is cared for. We don't think anybody is good or bad, or we don't have all of these judgments in place. We're very pure beings. We're living through that higher awareness, and we feel fine. Now, what happens is we begin to live life. That's going to be called first sin, or meeting up with Pharaoh, getting all that kind of stuff. Your inner being now is going to start taking on judgments, things that you name, things that you qualify, things that you give word to. I had an experience. It might be a good thing. It was grandma's apple pie. Smells good. Had some ice cream melting on top. I was all a mode. I was a little kid. Oh, that was the best thing I ever had in my life. I can remember that. Of course, now I can eat it every day, and it's not the best thing anymore, but that memory it was. I can get triggered, and that memory will come up. I'm being triggered. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with that trigger. It works both ways. I got molested. I got raped. I got beat. I got told what a piece of shit I was. You're worthless crap. All these things. And you mentally have that experience, and that goes away with the apple pie. And you're that too. I am the whore and the holy. All right, so we have to make sure that these are all playing out inside of each of us in a mental hierarchy. And they're using a patriarchal system right there. Okay, so what is happening then is we're living life consciously, making those decisions. I like this, I don't like that. I feel this way, I don't feel that way about it. That is naming it. That is creating it. That is giving it the word, and it's going to become manifest. It's going to become flesh. Yeah, in the beginning was the word, and the word became flesh. We're going to run into this in a little bit, where we're going to see that Lao Tzu is going to say naming is the origin of all particular things. And we're going to find out why those are the same thing. Naming is the origin of all particular things for me. In the beginning was the word, and the word became flesh for me. When I had my experience, I became that. I am that. I am now that. And I don't want to be. I can change that. But right now, that's what's happening. And in this process, we're losing the connection with that higher awareness where everything is fine. We don't feel that emotional attachment. We are now naturally going to live life living through the bundle of experiences. And what are those? Sometimes they're fine. You don't have to deal with them. Sometimes they're not, and you have to. So that's what this material is for, is how to purify, how to heal oneself so that when we move on in life, we can get back to our point of origin in a mental space, if nothing else. I don't want to go far into that. I don't want to get right now. Let's just stick to the material. So what happens is that we're now living life, and at some point, if you're going on a hero's journey, you're the kind of person that goes, "Wow, something's wrong. I came from a place and I have become a product of that, and I don't like what I've become, but I've learned that I can change that. Oh, okay, I want to do that." Now we're going to re-engage with that higher awareness, and we want to start extracting ourselves from the memories. We have become products of the judgments that we've had, and it's going to take the conscious awareness to do that. The higher awareness is there. It'll step in and let you know it's there, but it can't come in and say, "I'm taking over." The conscious is in charge of the physical realm. It has to say, "Oh, okay, I get it. I'm going to have to go engage with this." Let's go read this again and see what this sounds like after that. "I was sent out from the power and have come to you who study me. I am found by you who seek me. Look at me, you who study me, and you who hear me." All right, let's talk about those. "I was sent out from the power and have come to you who study me." This is the higher awareness talking. Hello, this is me. This is the part of you that is way up here. "I was sent out from the power," whatever this out here, "and I have come to you who study me." Are you the one? Are you the chosen? The one that's going to go on the journey? Yeah, I've come to you if you look for me. "I am found by you who seek me. Seek and you'll find, knock it'll be open." Yeah, that's a little bit different, but right here we're seeking that, but we have to know what we're seeking. "Look at me, you who study me." That's what we're doing. We need to engage with that higher awareness. We need to know it's there. "And you who hear me." We can hear it, don't we? We just don't know it. Eckhart Tolle tells that story of his tossing and turning at night one night, and had this idea that I can't live with myself anymore. And it was at that moment he realized, who is this in here that can't live with myself? There's two of me in here. And it was at that moment he realized, oh, I'm living through my memories and not who I really am. That's this right here, this exact thing. That's the higher awareness. It's there. Listen to it. We need to engage with it. Okay, you waiting for me. Take me into yourselves. How does that work? What are we taking them into? Our consciousness. We have to bring the higher awareness into our conscious. Don't banish me from your vision. Keep it there. We shift back into our feelings. I don't feel good. Shift back, keep stepping out into the higher awareness. We habituate. It's going to be so hard at first. You have to habituate. Remembering our lives are very complicated compared to theirs. They didn't drive and get it from the office and home. I mean, everything was in the local area, and it was not so much. Don't let hatred enter your voice against me, or let anger enter your hearing. So we've got this whole pure thing going on up here with the higher awareness. And no place and no time be unknowing of me. That's it. Live through the higher awareness, not the memories. The memories are fine when everything is okay. If you're smiling about grandma's apple pie and having a piece, yeah, go for it. Laughing and giggling with your kids and goofing around, you don't stop and figure out what the problem is, because there isn't one. However, at that time, we're living through the higher awareness. We're just not conscious of it. When we start slipping into, this is not okay, that's not okay, anger and the lack of anything like that, we We step back and go, you know what? Detach. Go back to the higher awareness. Habituate from being from here. I am not those memories. Stop living through the damn things. It makes them stronger when you do. Be alert. Don't be ignorant of me. I am the first and the last. Yeah, you see how that works? I am the first and the last. We start with it. Hopefully we'll end with it, if we're lucky. Actually, what I mean there, it works for everybody exactly like this. The question is whether or not they're aware of it. Not everybody gets that return to that higher awareness. Some people just go through those first two things. You lose touch with it and then live out your life, living through your experiences, your memories, and your beliefs, never letting those go. Most people do that. Okay, let's move on and see what there is next then. Everybody see that so far? This right here is the higher awareness. Yep, that's it. Here's how you need to engage with me right here. What's next? All right, we shall be on board up to here. I am the first and the last. Yep, there we are, the higher awareness. I am the honored and the scorned. I am the hoar and the holy. Here, what we realize at some point is something a little bit different is going on, but that I'm going to find precedent for this elsewhere. But before we do, let's go to the Tao Te Ching, and I'm going to teach you something there that's very simple to understand, that is actually what we need to understand here. So let's go learn it from the Tao Te Ching verbiage, and then come back and apply it to this. Okay, I'm going to start right here. I'm using the Stephen Mitchell translation for anyone who's interested. Right here in verse 1, right in the beginning. I'm going to start with this verse. This isn't what we're getting after, but I want to teach this part here. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. Now, if you listen to Taoists who tell you, yep, that means it's nebulous and you'll never figure it out, you've found somebody that can't figure it out. You need to ask a question. If the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao, then what is the eternal Tao? The Tao that can be what? It can be told, but it must be something. Go figure it out. It's a mental process. You have to take the trip. You can talk about it all day long. You can tell people exactly what to do, but it's not the eternal Tao. That's just the trip. It's not eternal until you grab the material and make it your own. Yeah, there is an eternal Tao. Make it yours. Make it mental. Here's where it steps in, though. I'm going to jump down right into here where it says, naming is the origin of all particular things. That's about me. I am naming my life experience. I am now old enough to have a judgment. I like this. I hate that. I'm ashamed of this. I love that. That is the origin of it as far as I'm concerned in my life. You see, it's all particular things, not all things in the universe, just the things to me. This is my trip. This is my guru experience inward. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. This is not a physical desire of wanting something. You might be hungry. You're going to desire that. That would be ridiculous to even consider that. It doesn't make sense. So you would have to think of it as something else. And desire is an analogous term. It doesn't mean that you necessarily physically have this visceral feeling towards something. It might mean that you're hanging on to something. That's what it means here. Caught in desire. When you've named something, you've created a desire. Naming is the origin of all particular things, and that's going to be called a desire. A desire can be a good thing or a bad thing. Free from desires, free from things you have named, you realize the mystery of life. Caught in desire, caught in the things you have named, you see only their manifestations. We become products of all of the things that we have made decisions of in life, and we see the return of them over and over again. You see that nested in here pretty carefully. The next line is what we're looking for. Yet mystery and manifestations come from the same source. That means the good, the bad, the pure, the not so pure. Everything comes from the same place. Everything your life experiences is going to come from the same place. And this is a little bit hard to understand until we might think of moving on from place to place, relationship, job, something, and have somehow something that you can look at along the way that repeats. If you're somebody that's bringing some issues that you need to resolve, you're going to find, if you look back on your life, boy, People are always this way, or this always happens, or that always happens. At first it's okay, but it doesn't take long and the honeymoon's over and things emerge back the way they were, isn't it? That's because there's something in place that we're not looking at, that we're bringing with us that fits with it. We're going into a location where once everything is ready, we're going to start getting triggered there by the things that we're bringing with us. It's not that we want to do that or we want the problems to be there. It's just what happens. You have to understand the repetitive pain. These are the things that we're looking for that are nested in the material for us to look at. Okay, so for me in my own life, I thought of this, that no matter where I went, eventually I guess I realized as things begin to reemerge again, it's like, well, you leave it behind, don't you? I don't like that. I moved, I left, I changed. I went through all the conniptions and the pain of dissolving this or that or something somehow to be free of it, only to find later it reemerges. And where does the power from that come from? Everything emerges from here. Ultimately, what it is that we're just continually having ongoing experiences based on the things that we have stored in our minds, good or bad. So it's both going to emerge here. Okay, what do we have if we make a comparison here? This is from Thunder. I am the first and the last. But we see it right here in Revelations. I am the first and the last. That is in, I've got chapter 1, verse 8, and chapter 2, verse 17 and 18 up here for some examples. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. Yeah, we have it there. I am the first and the last. So it's being said in another way. I was here, that was lived and then dead, and behold, I'm here forevermore. We did that in the beginning, but you see it all tying together here. You see it all blending into one thing. And then it goes on, it says, I am the scorned, I am the honored and the scorned and the whore and the holy. What we have in, I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you I will curse. What do we have here? Now the Lord said to Abram, go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you. That means go from your origins as a child to your own place. I will make of you a great nation. This is going to be your life, and bless you and make your name great so that you will be a blessing. That's just about you. I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you I will curse. So it's setting up the conditions up here that, the first and the last, and the honored and the scorned, and the whore and the holy, the good and the bad. And again, borrowing from the Tao Te Ching and the lessons we learn from there, knowing they're teaching the same thing, but in a very radically different style and verbiage is all. It's a different genre, but it's teaching us the same thing. Yet mystery and manifestation come from the same source. And once we know that the mystery and manifestation are the results of the things that we have named, it is who and what we are, free of what we have named in life, we see mystery, the mystery of life. But everything that's good and bad comes from the same place. So ultimately, you're going to be finding like this good, bad balance sort of a thing somewhere early on in the beginning. That's, I will bless those who bless you, or, I'm this and that. I am the combination of all those things. Now, the higher awareness is not those. When we get to the inner being, the psyche itself, the female, that is the combination of the memories. Out here, what they're talking about, that's not where that's residing. This is for the power for that. Honestly, the issue resides in the mental perception. That's where it resides. The power comes from the universe every time it's triggered. The power for whatever you want is there. It's not good and bad energy. It's energy that is you assign it the frequency. It's wide open. It's pure for your use. Give it what you want. We don't know it. We give it bad energy and live through it, not knowing it. Okay, what I'm going to do is read just a little bit of the Song of Solomon. The reason I'm going to do it is it's a different way of showing some of the same stuff, but it's also showing that style of inner dialogue where the pieces are kind of sectioned out. Honestly, what it is, if you were playing it out in your mind and it's like this love affair going on back and forth, that you're like, whoa, that's kind of weird. The kiss is the virgin, all the weird things going on. It's an inner dialogue, and it's about your inner self and your consciousness and the higher awareness. And sometimes they play out sounding like soap operas. They're not my favorites, but here's what they are. This is what it is. Okay, the Song of Solomon from the King James Version. The Song of Songs, which is Solomon's. That line is always going to precede everything. Remembering back then, it's coming around word of mouth. It's not written down. You have this memorized. That's the title. The Song of Songs, which is Solomon's. You just don't start right off here. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth. So that provides the source of it. All right. And here it starts. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is better than wine. Because of the flavor of your good healing, your name is as healing poured forth. That's why the virgins love you. Draw me, we will run after you. The king has brought me into his chambers. We will be glad and rejoice in you. We will remember your love more than wine. The upright love you. Okay, this is thick. Well, it's old. It's very, very old. And we're not connected with it. All right, let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is better than wine. Wine is something that makes you feel a certain way. Wine is something that makes you feel better. New wine, new feeling. Yep, new feel. Love is better than that new feeling. So there's a purity out there that is better than anything else. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth. That's just, what is that doing? Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth. That's setting up a hierarchy. That's letting you know this is the inner part talking. Yeah, let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth. There you go. Because of the savor of your good ointments, your name is, I am hurt. You have the capacity to heal me. You are the higher awareness. Therefore, the virgins love you. Why? Because the virgins, in this case, in the spiritual world, represents I don't have any judgments. Non-virgins are people, it's not a physical thing about the physical world. It's a spiritual thing. So it isn't about a sexual union in any way, shape, or form. It's about the union of a life experience. Am I pure? Or am I full of things? Am I a virgin or am I a whore? Same terms. It's different analogs, meaning the same thing, I mean. Okay, so therefore do the virgins love you. Therefore does purity love the higher awareness. Draw me, we will run after you. Come and get me. You're the one that has to get me. So the king has got you. The king has brought me into his chambers. That's the mind. That's the awareness. Draw me, we will run it. I am the buried part. I need the higher awareness and the king, the consciousness to bring me forth. Okay, I got it. We will be glad and rejoice in you. So me and the king are going to be, the conscious and the subconscious are looking for a union. There's some pain in there. I'm holding judgment. The king at one point in time said, I hate that. I'm ashamed. And I became that. Now we're going to be looking for a healing. And we will remember your love more than wine. This purity is better than anything else. The upright love you. The upright is a term that's going to mean not very many people are chosen. I am black but beautiful, O daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. Don't look upon me because I'm black, because the sun has made me so. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards, but my own vineyard I have not kept. Okay, I am black but comely, O daughters of Jerusalem. Whoever is writing this is for them. This is a black person that is writing this, and it is for their people. I am black but comely, O daughters of Jerusalem. Look not about Here's the part we want to see right here. It's meant that the first part is meant to identify to a people out there. This is our story. Yeah, this is ours. We like this one. Look not upon me because I am black, because the sun had looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me. Now it steps into something like, what? My mother's children? Aren't I one of those? They made me the keeper of the vineyards, but my own vineyard have I not kept. Okay, we got to unwrap it. It's all playing out inside of us. And a vineyard is what emerges from your life is your life experience. Your bundle of memories is your vineyard. And your life experience comes from there. Whatever emerges from your vineyard is what you're living through. It's like saying your garden, and it can have fruits or thistles or plants that produce nothing. In this case, what do we have? My mother's children were angry with me, and they made me keeper of the vineyards. The vineyards are old. This is something in the past. We've got a cycle going on. I'm living through past experiences. My mother's children, the experiences of myself in the past and the inside of me are held. The children, these things are, these are the things that are going to be emerging out of you painfully in childbirth. They made me keeper of the vineyards. There you go. So you're living this hurtful life experience from things in the past, and my own vineyards I have not kept. I'm in bad shape here. I'm not even living the life I want. Okay, so we're getting this setup of what we have to do. Tell me, O you whom my soul loveth. I need to turn to the higher awareness. I gotta just let go. I gotta be pure. Tell me, O thou whom my soul loveth, where thou feedest, where thou makest. Again, what am I doing? I don't know. Okay, so what we have going on here is a transition to now the conscious is talking. Look at verse 8. If you know not, you fairest among women. I'm talking to my inner being now. We all are. My conscious is talking to my in self. I need to heal. Go your way forth by the footstep of the flock and feed your kids. Your experience is beside the shepherd's tents. I don't know what the shepherd's represents here. The tent's a place to be. I have compared me, O love, to a company of horses in Pharaoh's chariots. Your cheeks are beautiful with rows of jewels, your necks with chains of gold. You know, right in the beginning, this sounds like an admonishment to love yourself. Yeah, right in the beginning here. What I just wanted to point out here is you can see very distinctly, there's the woman talking and saying and talking to the higher awareness, then setting up who's telling the story and saying I'm living in the past from experiences in the past, and the conscious takes over. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but you can see the internal dialogue right there, how that's working back and forth between these. Thunder is doing something similar, but I look at thunder as a little sloppy. I don't think it quite has the purity of something like a Song of Solomon does to it. It has some blending going on where it's not differentiating between male and female and higher awareness. It's kind of blending it all into one, separating it out and then blending it all back. It's got a little going back and forth on it, which is okay. You can go to the Tao Te Ching and there is no mental hierarchy, whatever you have named. It's in your subconscious. It's something you have there. In the story type, they're putting it in a way where there's a hierarchy of people and places and things sliced up over time. It gets more complicated, but it's doing the same thing. It can take a while to see it all, I know. Okay, you can see I've done a lot of setup here. We're still working on thunder. We've barely got past this. What I'm trying to demonstrate is that it's a common teaching and then what that teaching is and how it appears in other places. We just finished up right here. I'll stick with this now and let's just move along a little bit better. I am the honored and the scorned. I am the whore and the holy. We finished that. I am the wife and the virgin. Now here's where it switches into, that's perfect. I am the wife and the virgin. That's the pure inner self. I am the mother and the daughter. It's now setting up that I'm also going to be, this story is going to hold me in sections of life. The mother and the daughter, I am the members of my mother. Okay, so the daughter would be, more so than that. The daughter would not only be further offspring, but the daughter would also be characteristics that you have. Remember in Genesis when the sons of God came down and went into the beautiful daughters of men and giants were born as a result, the Nephilim. And what we're seeing right here is that the daughters are really like the mother is the inner self and the daughters are the qualities. And at first they're pure, later they get corrupted. Yeah. I am the members of my mother and the barren one with many sons. I have many things ready to go, but barren I have not. I've got a lot of qualities, but they have not been corrupted yet. Barren would be like virgin, huh? I have had a grand wedding and have not found a husband. How could that be? I've had a grand wedding and not found a husband. Did you marry yourself? Okay, what would we have here? This is the inner self, the inner being is saying that if I have had a grand wedding, that means I am a married to something in life. I am attached to something and have not found a husband, which means that I am not connected to my higher consciousness. I am living life through my life experiences through that grand wedding and not through, this would be like what we just read where I have had a grand wedding and have not found a husband. Whew. Does that sound vaguely like I am living through, I am experiencing the vineyards of my mother's children and have not kept my own? I am a midwife and don't give birth. Okay, so they're really puzzles like that. They're in your head. How can I be the mother of my father and the son of my uncle and my, yeah, they're facets of me. Okay, look at this. You're going to read through things like this. This should get your attention. And word whose appearance is multiple. Ding, 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 ding. Red alert right there. Word, multiple. Two things right there. Cycle is going on. If you see multiple, that's just right in your face. Word, that means naming, calling. Brought something into being, judged. And word whose appearance is multiple. Something that I have named, and the word becomes flesh. And now it is repeating. Here we have from the Tao Te Ching. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Caught in what you're hanging on to and what you have named, you see only the repeat of it. The thing that you have named has become flesh, and now its appearance is multiple. It continues to manifest. Clever. Whew. It's an analog shifting process. Okay. Let me just jump ahead here. There's something else I've made note of. Where was it? I hope I didn't mess it up. Oh, here we go. Okay, I was in the wrong place. Let me get down here. Yeah, there we go. The word becomes flesh, analog for mental belief, which with emotional conviction. Multiple is a result of the word as well as cause and effect, as well as energy. I will bless those who bless you, yeah. Caught in desires, you see only the manifestations. You will continue to have pain in childbirth from Genesis. Plagues as a source of repeating pain in Genesis. And word whose appearance is multiple. Something just keeps happening. That keeps coming up. I'm sorry again. I don't know why. I said I'll quit. Yeah, something's wrong. Plagues is a source of repeating. I am the utterance of my name. I am that I am. I am the utterance of my name. I am that I am. I am the product of what I have decided my judgments in life are. I hate this. Yeah. Okay. There was this one. I am perfect mind and rest. Be still and know that I am God. This is just being at a point where your mind is detached from your memories and you can sit outside of it in peace. We've got something here that's interesting. I am within. Well, that's good. It within. We need to know that. This is inward. I am of nature. I am of created spirits, the request of souls. I am controllable and uncontrollable. I am union and dissolution. I abide and dissolve. I am below and they come up to me. I am judgment and acquittal. I am sinless, and the root of sin comes from me. I am lust outwardly, yet within me is control. I am hearing for all, and my speech is indecipherable. I am unspeaking mute and enormous in many words. Okay, remember in the Tao Te Ching where it says the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao? That's it right there. You have to figure these out. Every one of these is a message, but listen to how it sounds. It's kind of a balance. I'm good, I'm bad, I'm union and dissolution, abide and dissolve, da-da-da-da-da. Let's go look at the Tao Te Ching. Worded completely different style, different genre. When people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. When people see some things as good, other things become bad. Being and non-being create each other. Difficult and easy support each other. Long and short define each other. High and low depend on each other. Before and after follow each other. There's a cycle. See that? Before and after follow each other. But it's a balance. And in this case, they're putting a lot in there. But there's lessons to it. But you can see that the similarities are going to be there in the material as you go through it. This one's pretty short, actually. I've got this document. It's, where is it? From here, actually? What do we have? It's only 7 pages long at a 16 font when I downloaded it. So try to get it something to get view up here. And I put a lot of space in here and have added some notes into it and things like that. So it's not a very big document. It's fun to play with. Thunder Perfect Mind. However, it is nothing that I look at and say, boy, that's something that is just totally unusual to me. I look at it and go, yep, I see what they're doing. They're creating their own version of how to carry that template, that inward healing template. Does that make sense? I don't know that I need to show anymore or keep showing anymore. That's basically the point. And you can see that it is kind of necessary to see a bunch of different parts parallel before you can kind of go, okay, I grasp that and I can kind of hook into it perhaps. And not everybody's going to, and not everybody's going to like that. And there's going to be some people that just flat out deny it. Where I look and I go, I see this everywhere. This is the true path. This goes back to Babylonia, and it's everywhere. This is the true path. Anyway, yeah, again, people don't like it. They like to think that the carriers are true. The carrier, they worship the the wrapping paper and they don't open the box. That's the modern metaphor for carrying the ark and few see inside. I think many standing outside the narrow gate while few enter in. Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what's happening here. I see the way in. This is very old. And it took me a lot of free time. Boy, I tell you what, I didn't see this so long. It's only, I'm growing with it now. And so I'm showing it as I'm finding it and learning about it. And boy, it astounds me. It blows my mind what I see, what I find. Honestly, I don't know if this is important to too many people. If you made it this far in the video, maybe so. I just have been exploring a few other things. And, I've been doing all of the 3-7 numbering grid in Genesis. And the one puzzle that I've continued to maintain is the one as to why is Noah's name said 41 times and not 40 times. Although the Septuagint took one out. They made it 40. So you can see a variation depending on which lineage you're coming down with. But just as I was playing around, I went ahead and took the most complete copy I could of the Babylonian and Enuma Elish, and Marduk is the exact same character in that Babylonian creation story, the Enuma Elish, as Noah is in Genesis, right up front. The one who is going to be the one that survives on the other side. He's not the one that does the destruction. Noah isn't the one that does the destruction. God is, and in this case, Marduk is given power to go do it. So it's really a called person going back and working with God to do it anyway. So it's still in the story there. Marduk is said 41 times. And then I started looking and finding other number patterns aligning up that match with Genesis. And I go, what the? I don't know what to make of it. There's some fragments from the document, so you have to be careful, but something's there. Something's there in the background that is right there. We don't know it well enough. You have to look at it this way. It isn't intelligent stuff. It's just kind of tedious, perhaps. I don't know. Anyway. All right. Well, it's a fun puzzle. I'm enjoying working on it. All right. Feel free to leave your comments and questions below. I'll see you in the next video.